Hello everyone, and welcome back to another installment of Baxter Spits, with facts from Philip. Yeah, didn't expect me back so soon now, would you, right? Even I'm surprised. DSP just recently talked about something that I wish to talk about, which is Fallout, the TV series that just recently aired on Amazon Prime. And he did a interactive review of it, you could say, but it was hardly interactive and hardly successful, despite him trying to convince you of the otherwise. In that review, he said some really dumb shit, like there's dumb takes, there's misinformation, there's just shit he's just completely wrong about, and I wish to talk about that because I find it fun to correct this fucking idiot, so without further ado, let's get right into it.
Because this show is set 20 years in the future, past the events of New Vegas. It actually is the latest piece of Fallout. It's past all existing games.
So when you do a bit of forbidden math and subtract the year the TV series takes place, which is 2096, from the year that Fallout New Vegas took place, which is 2081, you get something like 15, not 20. Wah. Bad at math, pig roach. Next clip.
This show blows apart the lore of the Vault system and Vault-Tec as a company in a way you've never seen before.
Well, it was well established even before the show that Vault-Tec did some pretty heinous things in their vaults. At least by Fallout New Vegas, fans already expected there to be pretty gruesome or pretty dehumanizing experiments in the vaults. Some of them were actually normal, but such is the nature of the scientific method, where you have experimental groups and then you have control groups. So some vaults were just completely normal. This is not unique to the series. Let's carry on.
Lucy's dad, the overseer, his name is Hank, by the way. The overseer Hank of Vault 33 actually was a transfer from Vault 32 many years ago.
And this is where you're wrong, kiddo, because Hank McLean, the overseer of Vault 33 at the beginning of the series, is in fact not a transfer from Vault 32, but a transfer from Vault 31. Get your facts straight. Now we're gonna switch to talking about the Brotherhood of Steel.
And another thing that this show does pretty uniquely is it shows how the Brotherhood of Steel operates from an insider's perspective. If you remember in other previous games, you never actually played as a Brotherhood of Steel character. So instead, you had to just kind of go in and see how their camps are set up and talk to them and get an understanding through lore of how they work. But you never got to actually see how the Brotherhood of Steel trains, what the levels of hierarchy are, how you advance. And this show massively explains all of that.
I feel like this is also not unique to the TV series, because even in Fallout 4, you get time with the Brotherhood of Steel if you want to, and you can spend time in that faction and get to know them pretty well, and learn the inner machinations. Like, the game do a pretty good job of explaining. So this is definitely not unique to the TV series. Also, from what I've been told, this is secondhand information, this is not information directly from me, is that the Brotherhood of Steel displayed in the TV series is far removed from what the Brotherhood of Steel from the games actually is. Take this with a grain of salt. So now we're gonna talk about Maximus for a bit.
Who is a trainee, and he's on the road to try to become a squire. You know, there's these evaluations that they have and things like that, and his backstory. So you find out in the lore of this, right away you find this out, that when Maximus was a child, he was part of the NCR.
This is also not true, because it is not immediately established that Maximus was part of the NCR. Because Maximus specifically tells Lucy when visiting Shady Sands that he was part of the NCR. And I think then it is established for the viewers. I'm not exactly sure, but it is not immediately established that he was once part of the NCR.
The person who's in charge of this faction of the Brotherhood, whatever this group is on the West Coast, because I don't know if they actually even give them a formal name. So it's one of the high guys. I don't know if he's called the Arbiter or whatever, whatever he is. He wears the robe. He was kind of the ruler scholar guy.
That person is neither called an arbiter, a ruler, or a scholar. That person has the rank of elder. As we go to the Fallout wiki, we can see that the elder is the second highest rank in the Brotherhood. This is sorted from lowest to highest, and the elder is pretty high up here. Yeah, and this was also established in the TV series. But I have one major gripe, not with something that DSP said, but with the series, where it says that squires are actually people who help knights run around, carry their stuff, and keep them on their mission. They fucked up that part of the lore, because if we read the section about the Squire, it says, by 2020-77, the East Coast chapter of the Brotherhood has adopted the rank of Squire as a title for children who have been born into or been recruited by the Brotherhood, making it the lowest rank in the chapter. These children are not permitted to take part in combat. Instead, they perform errands and menial labor for the Brotherhood's military and are provided with training and education in return. Okay, so fair enough, this might just be the East Coast Brotherhood. Maybe the West Coast Brotherhood is just more hardcore like that, right? And they just, oh, Squire, you have to support our knights. Otherwise, you're never gonna become a knight. Maybe, who knows? But from what I know and from what the wiki tells me is that Squires don't actually engage in combat, they do menial work and they get education in return. That's essentially what they do. So it sounds like more the role that Maximus was in at the beginning sounds like something that was a Squire would do, but it's actually an initiate. Which is, it's just kind of all over the place. But that has nothing to do with what DSP's been saying, so let's continue. Now we're going to talk about Dr. Siggy Wilsick, the Enclave Doctor.
He actually escapes the Enclave with a dog that looks exactly like Dogmeat from the Fallout series. So I don't know if they were going for that or not, but man, it looks just like Dogmeat. And I don't think they ever even named the dog or called the dog Dogmeat in the show, but definitely looks like it.
Yeah, well, DSP, different dogs can have the same name, and it is well established within the TV series that this dog is named Dogmeat. Because when the ghoul sits by a fire in one episode, I can't remember which, he specifically says, oh come on Dogmeat, you're just not him, referencing him as his pre-war dog that he had. It is Dogmeat. It is a callback to Fallout 4. Stop being facetious.
And I'll just say that of all of the characters in the show, the ghoul's probably one of the coolest. He's played by Walter Goggins.
Ah, yes. The famous actor Walter Goggins. Walter Sander Goggins Jr. Born on November 32nd, 1919. Yeah. Not to be confused with Walton Goggins. That's a completely different person, right? And no, it doesn't get better throughout the review. He doesn't get corrected. He still calls this person Walter Goggins for the rest of the review. Let's continue.
He is great. Now, the thing is, he plays two roles. He plays the ghoul in the present day, but then he also plays himself in the past before the bombs drop.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. That's the same role. Just because there's a time skip, that doesn't mean that the role changed. It's still the same person.
By episode 3, the scientist can no longer walk, and therefore he says, I'm not going to make it, just chop my head off. Because what they want is actually encased back here in the back of my head.
Technical error because that was the end of episode 2, not episode 3.
Maximus, who's squire now to a knight, becomes a knight because his knight gets killed.
Another technical error, Maximus doesn't become a knight. He impersonates his knight, which is Knight Titus. And he becomes Knight Titus in order to see what it feels like to be a knight. He essentially steals the role. He pretends to be a knight. He's not actually a knight by Brotherhood standards. Now we're going to talk about an established settlement in this series, which is called Philly. And DSP obviously has difficulty remembering the name of major cities in Fallout 4, because why wouldn't he?
It looks like Megaton. Like, I would say that's Megaton, or that's, what's the name of the town in, Fallout 4, where they arrive? It's supposed to be like Red Sox Stadium, but it's like, it's a city. Like, that's exactly what this looks like, this town that she arrives at.
It looks nothing like Megaton, because pretty clearly, Megaton has a huge motherfucking crater in the middle of the town. It looks more like Diamond City, which is the central city of Fallout 4. Next.
It just so happens that the ghoul shows up at the town, and now the ghoul sees the Enclave scientist and immediately says, I need to get that guy, he's my bounty.
Another inattention error, because the ghoul does not appear in Philly, he is already there even before Lucy arrives. Please pay attention, please, for the love of God, start paying attention to the shit that you're actually trying to review, Phil, man. So the next topic is gonna be a personal pet peeve of mine, so please, excuse me when I do get a bit emotional.
And you can select a body part or a target on any enemy, and you have a percentile chance to focus in on that body part and shoot it.
Yeah. So I know that Steve of the Dead has already covered this, but evidently DSP needs some more education on this topic. And we need to go over the difference between percentage and percentile another time, okay? So here we have a graphic. You see a bell curve, which is essentially the distribution on a standardized IQ test. In the middle, you see the bell curve, and you see it sectioned off by vertical lines. In the middle of the line, at the point where the bell curve is the highest, is 100 IQ score. That is the average for every person on an IQ test. There is a vertical line left, and there's a vertical line right to the average. Not the blue line. We're going to disregard the blue line for now. As you can see, for example, we're going to take the vertical line left to the average. That is one standard deviation. That means on an IQ standardized test, a standard deviation is a difference of 15 points. So that would mean that it would be a difference in score of 15 points. So 100 minus 15, that's 85. Now you can see that inside this range of 85 to 100, it says 34.13%. That is the percentage of population that has an IQ score between 85 and 100. That is a percentage. A percentage is a ratio, a display of ratio, a display of how many parts of 100. So far, so good. A percentile is a denomination of rank. It is not a ratio, it is a display of rank. So when you read the text at the top right, it says, a score in the 80th percentile, for example, means you scored higher than 80% of the people who took the test. So saying you scored in the 50th percentile means you scored right in the middle. Saying you scored in the 30th percentile means 30% that people scored worse than you. Or if you like it more complicated, 70% of people scored better than you. So when you're saying that you have a score in the 80th percentile, it ranks you against the rest of the sample. But when you say that about a third of people score between the range of 85 IQ points and 100 IQ points, then you're taking not just the individual, you're taking a group of people and ratio them against the whole. So takeaway message for you guys at home. Percentage, parts of 100, or simply parts of a whole. Percentile, denomination of rank comparing you to the rest of the sample. That's how easy that is to understand. And I wish DSP would stop using that term, because the way he uses it, it's evidently wrong, and it pisses me off as someone who has a deep understanding of the scientific method. Alright, so we're done with the pet peeve. Back to Fallout stuff. The stuff you actually clicked the video for. Let's continue.
Well, the vendor yells out, 1,000 caps to anyone who defends the scientist because, he's actually my bounty and I gotta get him safe somewhere, so I'll pay everyone to defend him.
Yeah, that's actually not what happened. The vendor didn't yell 100 caps for those people who defend my bounty. The vendor yelled 1,000 caps for the person who kills the ghoul. Please, 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 please pay attention, dude. We're almost halfway through this. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
The entire apocalypse that is the stimulus for this lore, this universe to exist, is that Vault-Tec dropped the bombs themselves.
Oh no. Now we delve into the dog water takes. We're not at the dog shit takes yet, okay? We're at the dog water takes. There's actually a stage where he gets worse. He has an even more terrible take than this, okay? So Vault-Tec, it is never established that Vault-Tec actually dropped the bombs. There is no evidence. There is ambiguity towards that Vault-Tec could have kickstarted the war by dropping the bombs themselves first. It is never established or shown anywhere that Vault-Tec actually went through with their plan. This is also what I got wrong when I first watched the series and then had to correct myself on. So please, people, don't believe the shit that DSP says in here. It is not established. Vault-Tec planned to do this, but we don't know if they actually went through with this. Right on to the next dog water point.
Vault-Tec blew up the NCR. Why? Because NCR was actually getting so much power in the region. They were starting to expand out, and Vault-Tec was afraid that they were going to raid the vaults and basically ruin the entire thing. So they detected Shady Sands as the capital of NCR, and they bombed it to basically end the threat.
No. Incorrect. Vault-Tec bombed Shady Sands because the NCR became too strong? That is incorrect, because we can use the lovely power of the internet once again and look up the events that transpired at Shady Sands. And it says right here in the opening paragraph, it says, soon after the events of Fallout New Vegas, which was set in 2020-81, Shady Sands was destroyed by a nuclear bomb on the orders of Hank McLean, a Vault-Tec executive and overseer of Vault 33, in order to hide the truth of the surface world from Vault 31, 32, and 33's inhabitants, after Vault 33's water was discovered to have been partially siphoned off. So no, DSP. Again, you are wrong. Next, dog water take.
So why are the MCR remnants after this Hank character, the overseer? Why did they take him out of Vault 33? Because they know who he is, and they know everything that's going on, and they're trying to basically stop it.
Wrong. They are after the cold fusion device. That might just be the partial reason. Hank McLean might be evil, yes, and they might know that, but that is not the primary reason. The primary reason is that Hank is a Vault-Tec executive, and they are after the cold fusion device, which Hank has the access codes to, and that's why they need him. Next one.
Why is this woman, who's the head of the NCR, I think her name is Dever or something like that?
Her name is Lee Moldaver. Before the bombs dropped, she called herself Miss Williams. Again, Moldaver, not Moldaver, which she will continue to call her. It's Moldaver. Now we're gonna go into the takes that take place during the last episode, where there's a fight ensuing between the Brotherhood of Steel and the NCR.
Lucy shows up, and Lucy is there because her dad's been kidnapped the whole show, and she thinks she's trying to rescue her dad until Moldaver tells her the whole story. Your dad's evil. He's an executive for Vault-Tec. He's a piece of crap. He destroyed the planet. That's not a guy that you should care about or love. That guy's trying to ruin everything for everyone, and that's why we kidnapped him.
Again, not the primary reason. They kidnapped Hank because they needed access to the cold fusion device, which Hank has the codes to.
And amongst all this chaos, okay, somehow Hank escapes the cell he's locked in and gets into a suit of power armor.
Yes. I know of this weird situation where you somehow escape your cell by asking Maximus to open it for you. People, I hate to tell you this, but I guess you already guessed this. He didn't pay attention while watching. He absolutely didn't. Or he misremembers, one of the two.
And Moldaver, sadly, is killed during these final fights. And I believe the ghoul gets knocked out, Lucy gets knocked out, and Hank escapes in the power armor suit.
So he gets the order here completely wrong. Let me recap this for you. Okay, so there is a fight ensuing at the Griffith Observatory between the NCR and the Brotherhood of Steel. The cold fusion device is with Lucy. Lucy brings the cold fusion device to Moldaver, situated at the NCR headquarters at the Griffith Observatory. With Moldaver is Hank, which she took hostage. Also there is Lucy's mom as a ghoul, Rose. They're all there, they're talking. Moldaver has a lore dump on Lucy about how evil her father is. The Brotherhood of Steel rolls in, because Maximus knows that Lucy has the head with the cold fusion device. So the Brotherhood wants their grubby hands on it. They roll in and attack. Moldaver realizes that the Brotherhood is about to attack, so she goes out of the observatory and supports her troops. Lucy and her dad have a bit of heart-to-heart. Maximus waltzes in, frees Hank. Hank leaves the room, comes back with power armor, knocks Maximus unconscious. Lucy gets angry at this, points her weapon at her father. Hank knows that she's not going to kill him. In comes the ghoul, who has also been fighting at the observatory against the Brotherhood. The ghoul has been fighting and comes in, wounds Hank by grazing his face. He threatens Hank, but Hank escapes. The ghoul lets him go. Lucy, meanwhile, tries to wake up Maximus the entire time, while the ghoul says, Lucy, come with me and find out what this idiot is up to, because we share the same goal now. Lucy obliges, kisses the still unconscious Maximus goodbye, tries to shoot the ghoul, but actually shoots her mother instead, to end her suffering. Then goes with the ghoul and leaves. And now, he also gets wrong what happens after this scene.
Maximus shows up late, basically running into the room, but Moldaver is dying, and explains to him everything going on, basically. That cold fusion works, and she turns it on, and now all of LA gets powered, okay?
So first of all, before we get into this whole Moldaver Maximus thing, he doesn't even question how this works. Like, cables decay. Why is the entirety of LA still connected to the power grid? Like, obviously, fuses would immediately blow everywhere once you try to turn the power back on inside the power grid. 219 years after these cables have been in use. Shit decays, okay? It doesn't make sense, but this is all besides the point. The actual point that DSP is trying to make here is that a completely different version of events as they happen in the series. Maximus wakes up, Moldaver, wounded, comes into the room, activates the final stage of the cold fusion device, and the whole city of LA lights up. Even though how unbelievable that is. She takes a seat because she can't stand anymore because of her pain. Maximus slowly walks up to her, stands beside her, doesn't even threaten her. And then Moldaver says 3 lines. She doesn't even explain everything to him. She says 3 things, and I'm gonna paraphrase. What would the Brotherhood of Steel do with something like infinite power? Maybe you can stop them, maybe you can't. But I think at least you should try. That's it. And then she dies. So I don't know where this notion comes from that she explained everything to him in regards to this. So Maximus, evidently, he didn't show up late. He was already there. He was unconscious. You're wrong again, DSP. And now we delve into the territory of the dog shit takes. You gotta listen to this. The idiocy on his part to even reach a conclusion like this is mind-blowing.
So in the lore of the Fallout TV show, New Vegas has not been destroyed. New Vegas has not been overrun by the NCR or Caesar's Legion. Apparently, Mr. House won. In the lore of the show, Mr. House was successful at the end of the New Vegas story, and now he runs New Vegas indefinitely. And so Hank apparently was working for him all along, right? He's going to head towards someone who he knows is still there, he has contact with, and who is behind the whole thing. So it sounds to me like this is making canon that the Mr. House ending of New Vegas is the lore canon ending, and that's where they're going with season 2.
Yeah, and that's a pretty dogshit take because none of that just made sense. Because Hank is moving towards New Vegas, that he's actually in search for Mr. House. While yes, I give him that much, that Mr. House, he might know that Mr. House actually still operates in New Vegas. That doesn't mean that New Vegas is still operated by Mr. House, or that Mr. House is even still in New Vegas. So Vault-Tec working for Mr. House now? It doesn't make sense, and there's no evidence to back it up. It's a pretty bold claim for having absolutely no evidence of this, and in fact, DSP is so sure of himself that he tries to discredit anything that goes against this hypothesis by saying the following thing when a viewer tells him this.
Credits, it pans through the streets of New Vegas and shows it's been destroyed with crashed vertigirds and broken Superiortrons. It also shows earlier on in one of the credit sequences that New Vegas is completely destroyed.
Oh, look at that smile. That's Duper's delight, and you fucking know it. This fucking idiot thinks he's so smart. Haha, I just outsmarted you. You fucking idiot. You didn't pay attention, and I'm the smartest person in the room. No, motherfucker. Why would you suggest that anything that's shown in the credits as CGI is not canon, or not even true when it comes to the sense of the show? New Vegas is deserted. The Securitrons are down. The wall to the city has been broken down. It is powered down. The city is deserted. Shut the fuck up.
That's why 1 or 2 episodes in, people started freaking out, saying this cannot be canon because New Vegas is destroyed or whatever, and it's fucked up that they retconned New Vegas. They didn't retcon New Vegas. The credit sequence isn't necessarily 100% accurate.
Yes. As you are 0% accurate about your fucking dumb takes. Anyway, we move on to the actress that played Lucy McLean in the TV show. DSP has to say the following things about her.
Did you know the character who plays Lucy, the actress, excuse me, who plays Lucy? So when she got cast in the role, they said to her, do you want to just learn the lines or do you want to research? She says, no, I want to research. And they gave her the game. She says, I want to play all these games. And she sat there and she played all the games to understand them.
No, DSP, I hate to break it to you, but when you go to Lucy McLean's Fallout wiki page, you can go down to the section of behind the scenes and then read this little bullet point, which says Lucy's actress Ella Purnell plays video games and she played some Fallout 4 in order to play for her role. She said that she did not get very far and struggled with trying to dismiss Dogmeat and leaving him at the Red Rocket truck stop. However, she did also watch gameplay footage of the video games, though she did not specify how much and which games. Purnell said that she only had a couple of months maybe to prepare for her role. In the sense that DSP is reporting it, she did not play all Fallout games to prepare for her role. Moving on to the CGI of the show, DSP has to say this.
There is one giant mutant monster in Season 1 of Fallout. It's a huge mutated lizard amphibian creature. That monster sucked. Like, I don't like that monster, okay? That's the one mutated monster in the whole show.
That's the one mutated monster? The Gulper? Really? Because I can vividly remember the Yao Guai, which attacked Knight Titus. Weird. We must have watched different series, I guess. Next point.
Super mutants. It's a critical part of Fallout lore. Not present whatsoever in the show. You do hear a couple allusions to them. A couple people actually say super mutant and talk about super mutants in the dialogue, but never is there a real super mutant in the show.
Wrong. Need I remind you, Enclave Base. The doctor, Siggy Wilczyk, is trying to escape while there is an alarm going off. A group of people are carrying something on a barge past him. Under the blanket of that barge, you see a green mutated arm sticking out. Enlarged. That was a super mutant. We are at the end. The next take that DSP has is the funniest one to me, because it's also the easiest to explain. I'll just let you listen to it first.
I basically remember it was Vault-Tec, Robco, like West Tech, which I think was supposed to be like an Asian corporation that I guess is referenced in the games, but I don't think it's in any of the ones I've played.
West Tech, you say? Oh, I gotta go to something called the internet and look up West Tech. There it is. Oh, West Tech. Oh, let's try to find out about that. Okay. So, Asian company situated in the United States of America. Interesting. Major United States defense contractor and research corporation involved in strategic defense projects, such as power armor and forced evolutionary virus research. Yes, what an Asian company that is entirely situated in the US. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you why DSP thinks that this corporation is Asian. Because there's only one reason why he thinks this corporation is Asian. And that is because during the scene where Vault-Tec is sitting with all the bigwigs of all the different companies of the Fallout universe in one room discussing how they can make profit off of the end of the world, the person sitting at the table representing West Tech is none other than Piece of Peace! Of course! Who else? No, evidently it's an Asian person, so of course he sees Asian person sitting at West Tech. Oh, the company must be Asian! What the fuck you mean? Okay, we're done. Fuck this. Oh, no, people, please, no. Okay, so we have seen enough of Mr. Asian West Tech for now. Let's get back. I'm not the first person to prove that DSP is shit at remembering the plot of movies or games, recapping them, or reviewing them. There is, in fact, an even more entertaining and more funny video by Ludwig World Order, made about 3 years ago, and it's called Darkside Phil is Bad at Reviewing Movies Too, and I highly recommend that you watch that, because it gives a better insight into how shit DSP is actually at recapping and reviewing these types of things. It is pretty evident by now that his memory is shot, that he doesn't help himself by misremembering things, sharing his dog shit takes that have absolutely no foundation in reality, all evidence in his head, in his fantasy world. Where exactly was the review there? I mean, I've watched the entire video, which is like 56 minutes. The review was like 5 minutes at the end. Very few and far in between did he actually say something about how he thinks this thing is. He was recapping the story for half of the fucking stream. I just don't know what to do with this. This guy is just so far off the deep end. He thinks that his reviews are the best reviews ever, and he's just a fucking shyster of a movie and game reviewer. So please, by all means, do not give this guy attention when it comes to movie reviews. Tell him how he's wrong. Point out why he is wrong. Evidently, he compared this a lot to Last of Us, which he is also wrong about. What can I say about this? Don't trust this guy when it comes to movie reviews and game reviews. His memory is shot. His theories are bullshit, not backed up by science, evidence, or anything footed in reality. Best to just point and laugh. That's what I always tell you people. Yeah, I think as an extra, I'm gonna actually review the series for you, because I had my issues with it. Okay, I don't think it's the best thing ever made. DSP called it the best thing he's ever watched in the last 5 years, which is such an exaggeration. It is an adaptation, I could say that much. Is it a good adaptation? Maybe. If you like Fallout and you don't care so much about lore inaccuracies, go ahead and watch it. You will probably find some entertainment. But for lore enthusiasts and people who actually like to think about the details and actually see if this is lore accurate, it's gonna be so terrible for you guys. Because I sat there and thought to myself, how did they get all of these things wrong? I can count off so many things. What about power armor training? Not everyone can wield power armor. So ever since Fallout 4, everyone just can. Stimpaks that work like just in the game. Now, is that good? In a TV series that tries to be semi-realistic? I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. What about the time the bombs dropped? They dropped at approximately 10 AM East Coast time. That's -3 hours for the West Coast. Was the birthday at the beginning at 7 AM in the morning? It doesn't make sense. Shady Sands, the location. It was moved to the Boneyard. It is nowhere near the Boneyard. The Brotherhood of Steel T-60 armor has headlamps. They don't use that when they fight the ghoul in the dark. Why? Also, the speakers of the T-60 distort the voice of the user.
Down 50 octaves and now you sound like the bassiest asshole in all of the Commonwealth.
Never happened in the games before. Why? Ghouls suddenly need to use Radaway to stay sane and not go feral. What? Lucy's shoulder pad. She wears her shoulder pad wrong for like 2 episodes. That shit pissed me off personally. And then people coincidentally just run into each other constantly. Lucy is told that she's not supposed to go towards danger. But she finds Maximus after she sees like 3 cockroaches converging on a position. Why would you go towards that? I don't know. Does it make sense? So, and the biggest plot hole for me was that Lucy evidently has been to the surface. Her mother took her there as a child. She's old enough to remember it, then was forcibly taken from her mother while her mother stayed outside and was turned into a ghoul by the nuke of Shady Sands. Why is this never mentioned by Lucy? She would have at least a suspicion that something in the vault is awry, because she was taken back and separated from her mother on the surface. But she has absolutely no suspicions against her father. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, yeah, so make it make sense. So my final verdict for this is, it's a 6 out of 10 on a good day, but for me personally, it's just mid, it's just 5 out of 10. But please, by all means, do not let my review be the thing that stops you from watching this show. Maybe you enjoy it, go watch it for yourself, at least the first 2 episodes, and then decide for yourself. And that's about it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to always be the best version of yourself. And I wish you a happy day.